Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The topic of discussion today will revolve around 3 stories from the books of the Deobandi scholars from their own sources, and we will demonstrate how these perverse and corrupt individuals have promoted homosexuality in their works. First of all, I would like to mention that these 2 individuals, Abdul Haleem and Usman, have recently been spreading propaganda and slander and have been attacking the true beliefs of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah and the true beliefs of the Sufiya, the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Notably, they have attacked and maligned the great Sheikh Sayyidi Abdul Aziz al-Dabbagh rahimahullah ta'ala and his Hadith master student, Sheikh Ahmad ibn al-Mubarak al-Sijilmasi al-Maliki, rahimahullah. Then similarly, they have maligned Al-Hafidh ibn Aqil al-Hanbali, rahimahullah, and Imam al-Zurqani, rahimahullah. And they have misquoted, distorted, misrepresented quotations from their works and deemed some of the traditional scholars as being shameless.
This is a bit mucky, Maulana.
Yeah, okay.
And this stuff's hard to mention.
Over 18
Yeah.
stuff.
Huh?
Over.
Ibn Aqil, Zurqani, Shahid Ali, Asrar Rashid, and Raza Khan Saab, none of them are an evidence. Beghairto, Bisharmu.
Now, what we need to do now is examine some of the works of Deobandi scholars and see exactly what have they written in their works. The format for this will be simple: 1, 2, 3. And these 2 individuals are very familiar with 1, 2, 3. And they will know how in the discussion on the kufr of Qasim Nanotwi, the founder of Darul Ulum Deoband, they avoided and deflected discussion from the 3 kufr statements found in Tahzirun Nas, which is another matter and which we shall cover in another speech, insha'Allah. Here is volume 1. So 1, 2, 3, the first part. Volume 1, Tazkiratul Rashid, on page 342 in the first volume. This work has been written by Ashiq Ilahi Mirti, a leading scholar of the Deobandis. And in this first volume, on page 342, he mentions a dream that Rashid Ahmad Gangohi narrated a dream, and he said, आप एक मर्तबा ख्वाब बयान फरमाने लगे कि मौलवी मोहम्मद कासिम को मैंने देखा कि दुल्हन बने हुए हैं और मेरा निकाह उनके साथ हुआ। फिर खुद ही ताबीर फरमाया कि आखिर उनके बच्चों की कफालत करता ही हूं। It mentions, Ashiq Ilahi Mirti states, that on one occasion, Rashid Ahmad Gangohi narrated a dream. And he said that Muhammad Qasim Nanotwi came in my dream in the form of a bride. So Qasim Nanotwi comes as a bride, and then he states that my nikah was performed with him. Marriage contract was performed with him. And then he states that Rashid Ahmad Gangohi then interpreted this dream himself. And he stated that in the end, I am the one who nurtures his children. I am the one who nurtures the children of Muhammad Qasim Nanotwi. So this is the first dream mentioned in Tazkiratul Rashid, volume number 1. Now in the second volume, also of Tazkiratul Rashid, on page number 362, another dream is mentioned of Rashid Ahmad Gangohi, another dream which he had of Muhammad Qasim Nanotwi. Here he states, एक बार इरशाद फरमाया, मैंने एक बार ख्वाब देखा था कि मौलवी मोहम्मद कासिम साहब उरूस की सूरत में हैं और मेरा उनसे निकाह हुआ है। सो जिस तरह जन और शोहर में एक को दूसरे से फायदा पहुंचता है, इसी तरह मुझे उनसे और उन्हें मुझसे फायदा पहुंचा है। He mentions here that on one occasion Rashid Ahmad Gangohi narrated a dream. And he narrated this dream that Maulvi Muhammad Qasim Nanotwi has come this time in the form of a bridegroom. So this time Qasim Nanotwi has come in the form of a bridegroom. And then he doesn't stop here. He says, my nikah, marriage contract, was performed with him, with Qasim Nanotwi. And then just like husband and wife benefit from one another, husband and wife benefit from one another, I benefited from Nanotwi and Nanotwi benefited from me. This is Rashid Ahmad Gangohi saying this. And then further on it mentions that Hakim Muhammad Siddiq Saab Khan Dehlvi ne kaha, Ar-Rijalu Qawwamuna 'ala an-Nisa. आपने फरमाया हाँ आखिर उनके बच्चों की तरबियत करता ही हूं. He mentioned that Muhammad Siddiq Khan Dehlvi then commented and quoted a verse from Al-Quran Al-Kareem, Surah 4 verse 34. Ar-Rijalu Qawwamuna 'ala an-Nisa, that men are in charge over women. He quoted this verse. Na'uzu billahi ta'ala. He quotes this verse and then Gangohi replies, he says, oh yes, I am the one who looks after the children of Nanotwi. Wal-iyadhu billah, astaghfirullah. What is the meaning of this dream? What actually happened in this dream? My question to Abdul Haleem and Usman, both of these Deobandis, is what happened in this dream when nikah was performed? First of all, in his first dream, Gangohi is stating that Nanotwi comes as a bride. In the second dream, he mentions Nanotwi is coming as a groom. And then he says that our nikah contract is being performed and we are benefiting from one another. Now, Abdul Haleem, what is the meaning of this benefit? What is the meaning of this benefit after marriage, like a husband and wife benefit from one another? What can this possibly mean? As a husband and wife benefit from one another, there is only one thing that comes to mind. It is gay sex.
بغیر تو بشرم.
It is the promotion of homosexuality. And you speak about need and reality.
For need. And when they said it's a reality.
It's a reality.
There is no need here and there's no reality.
There's no need here, there's no reality here.
2 points.
That's the difference. There was a need and there was a reality and it was true. That was a need to tell us halal and haram, and also there was a reality there.
Yeah.
So there was a reality there and also there was a need there.
Can you explain what is the need of this incident and what was the reality of this incident? Now, we will move on to the third story, and this will show us that Rashid Ahmad Gangohi, how he fulfilled this desire of his, how he fulfilled and realized his dreams in the work Hikayat Awliya, stories of the friends of Allah. Now these are meant to be stories of friends of Allah, of the Deobandis. Rather, these are Hikayat of Awliya Shaitan, the friends of the Shaitan. Why? You will see clearly when you listen to this story. And this work by Ashraf Ali Thanwi. This is point number 3. And how befitting that this work is known as Arwahi Thalatha, the 3 souls. So we've had 1, 2, 3. We've had volume 1 Tazkiratul Rashid, the first dream. Volume 2 Tazkiratul Rashid, the second dream. Now we have Hikayat Awliya, the culmination of his desires are expressed in this waqiyah. It mentions here, कि एक दफा गंगोह की खानका में मजमा था. On one occasion, in the place of Gangoh, where Rashid Ahmad Gangohi was based, there was a huge gathering. Hazrat Gangohi or Hazrat Nanotwi ke murid o shagird sab jama the. All the students of Gangohi and Nanotwi were gathered in this huge gathering. और ये दोनों हजरात भी वहीं मजमे में तशरीफ फरमा थे. And both of these individuals, Rashid Ahmad Gangohi, Muhammad Qasim Nanotwi, were both present in this gathering. कि हजरत गंगोही ने हजरत नानोतवी से मोहब्बत आमेज लहजे में फरमाया कि यहां जरा लेट जाओ. That then Gangohi said to Nanotwi in a very loving manner, in an extremely loving manner, he expressed this desire to him and said, lie down here. And Hazrat Maulana Qasim Sahab Nanotwi kuch sharma se gaye. that Qasim Nanotwi became very shameful. He felt ashamed. मगर हजरत ने फिर फरमाया तो बहुत अदब के साथ चित लेट गए. He says, then Gangohi insisted to Nanotwi that please lie down here. Nanotwi then submitted. He submitted with adab and he lied down on his back. Hazrat bhi usi charpai par let gaye. He says that Gangohi also lied down upon that bed, and he mentions that charpai, that four-legged bed, and people who are from India and Pakistan will know that's known as a khat. A khat is a traditional desi bed. So he's lying down. Nanotwi has been forced to lie down against his will. And then Gangohi lies down next to him. You can imagine what kind of scene this is in front of all the students. Now Gangohi lies down next to Nanotwi. Then he says, और मौलाना की तरफ को करवट लेकर अपना हाथ उनके सीने पर रख दिया, जैसे कोई आशिक सादिक अपने कल्ब को तस्कीन दिया करता है. Then he says that Gangohi then lied down on his side, facing towards Nanotwi, and placed his hand on his chest, like a true lover does, in order to satisfy his heart. And then he mentions, मौलाना हरचंद फरमाते कि यहाँ क्या कर रहे हो, ये लोग क्या कहेंगे. That Nanotwi then responded and said, what are you doing? What are these people going to say? So clearly he was uncomfortable. Clearly he was not willing to partake in this activity. And then Gangohi, Hazrat ne farmaya कि लोग कहेंगे, कहने दो. Gangohi said, let people say whatever they want, regardless of what they say. He had no shame in committing this action in front of all the students and in front of the huge gathering. He's there lying down on his side, hand on the chest of Nanotwi, and showing this, demonstrating this act in front of all the students of the madrasa. Then there is a hashiya, a note here. इससे ज़्यादा खुददारी की फना की नज़ीर क्या होगी. He states that what greater example can there be of someone who lowers himself, humbles himself, than this example. And then he states, क्या अहले तसन्नो ऐसा कर सकते हैं? Can fake people, people who just show off, people who just worry about others, can they do such a thing? इन पर तो ये मौत से ज्यादा गिरां है. Doing such a thing is heavier and more burdensome upon them than death. और मौलाना गंगोही का ये कमाल था कि रंगे फना खजलत पर गालिब था. And then he says, as for Gangohi, look at his perfection, that he had no shame, but his absorption in the love for Nanotwi overwhelmed him so much that he lost his shame. और मौलाना नानोतवी का ये कमाल था कि खजलत पर फना को मुजाहिदे से गालिब कर दिया. Whereas Nanotwi, whereas he was feeling shameful, out of his love and absorption in love for Gangohi, he overpowered his shame by the power of love and by struggling against this shame, so that he was able to partake in this act. What is the meaning of this action? And why has this action been mentioned in your books? In Hikayat Awliya, astaghfirullah, are these stories of awliya, Muslim saints? Rather, these are shameless acts. What would Abdul Haleem Deobandi say regarding this? Oh, Abdul Haleem, you had many issues regarding the statement in the Sharh of Zurqani when it mentions وَيُضَاجِعُ أَزْوَاجَهُ وَيَسْتَمْتِعُ بِهِنَّ.
You can see on the screen it says وَيُضَاجِعُهُنَّ وَيَسْتَمْتِعُ بِهِنَّ. A passage which is only and only talking about intercourse.
The original text is very clear, that he's referring to, specific,
intercourse.
Intimate relations.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I can clearly translate that same statement. I can relate that statement to point number 2, the dream of Gangohi which he had of Nanotwi. وَيُضَاجِعُهُ وَيَسْتَمْتِعُ بِهِ. he lied down next to him and benefited from him. What was this benefit? What was this lying down? Was it sexual intercourse? Was it gay sex? You have to explain this. This is a qarz, a debt upon you. Nanotwi was uncomfortable in the incident when they were lying down next to each other in public. You made a huge issue of raising private matters.
Who gives you the right to talk about what is going on inside their private life?
This was done in public. And this was between two males. Two men who were supposedly teachers of a madrasa. How would anyone react if the teachers in your child's school engaged in such an action? How would you react? There is a huge agenda at play in the West, in the Western world, currently, where the LGBT agenda and forced RSE is being imposed upon children, and Muslims are campaigning against this, and rightly so. In light of this, where does this leave your hikayat-e-awliya, stories of your saints? Where does it leave this? Would you allow your children to attend a madrasa where such activity takes place, where one man is feeling uncomfortable and the other man, another teacher, places his hand on his chest, lies down next to him in public in front of everyone? First of all, do you accept this as a shameless act, or Abdul Haleem or Usman? Or do you accept this as a valid action? This is a question which you must answer. Or do you denounce this as something which is shameless? Is this story taught in your madrasas in Dewsbury and Bury? Did Yusuf Mutala and Maulvi Bilal, the current Maulvi who is there, did these individuals act out on this story? If they have not acted it out, I have a challenge for you, Usman and Abdul Haleem. You are ardent followers of Qasim Nanotwi and Rashid Ahmad Gangohi.
Our friendship, ये दोस्ती पुरानी है.
पुरानी दोस्ती है.
This is,
पुरानी
you know,
दोस्ती.
a very, very old friendship.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
We
know each other very well.
It's been over a century.
गहरी दोस्ती है.
Yeah. Once you become our friend, then you will remain our friend. Inshallah.
Dosti forever, yaar.
Inshallah.
Dosti forever.
My challenge to you is to act upon this story, to practically demonstrate in your video, and then you can show and demonstrate to us that these individuals are indeed leaders of Deoband, and you proudly follow them, and you proudly propagate their teachings, and you have no shame in doing so. Otherwise, if you believe that this is shameful, then you must denounce them. You must disassociate yourselves from them, and you must repent openly for propagating such teachings. Are these stories of awliya? Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. These are meant to be the stories of saintly individuals, and my challenge goes openly to the entire Deobandi sect, that you are propagating these shameful teachings in your work. Abdul Haleem Deobandi, Usman Deobandi, you must explain these stories and explain why these things, disgusting things, are written in your works and propagated under the name of Islam and under the name of stories of awliya, stories of saints. This is a qarz upon you. Do not divert, do not dodge. You must answer this, and you must explain to the entire ummah. You must explain to all your followers, and your followers must question you that these two individuals, Rashid Ahmad Gangohi, Qasim Nanotwi, for them to shamelessly engage in such an act, if they are able to do this in broad daylight, publicly, in view of all their students, then how do you individuals condemn and forbid homosexuality? How do you individuals take issue with matters which are private matters?
Who gives you the right to talk about what is going on inside their private life?
Whereas this is a public matter, and private matters between, let's say, a husband and a wife, that concerns you. What about this public matter between two males, and one is not even consenting, one is feeling uncomfortable? These dreams and this incident, you must explain. These are a debt upon your head, O Usman and O Abdul Haleem. And if any Deobandis are feeling uncomfortable now with these stories coming out, I must say the only two individuals you have to blame are Abdul Haleem and Usman, for they have slandered Ahlul Sunnah, and they slandered the true awliya and ulama. So if you want anyone to blame for exposing the reality of your elders, then blame none other than Usman and Abdul Haleem. ask them, question them. And as for them, they have to answer and explain these incidents, and they have to explain these and answer these objections. Abdul Haleem and Usman, they have to explain these disgusting stories and these disgusting incidents. I await your answer and I await your explanation.